Hey guys, welcome back to Echo. This is Shelby Novotny and I'm super excited to talk to you all today. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Esther. And Esther was this young, spunky Jewish girl, and she had a lot of faith, trust, and courage. And having all of those things can be super hard to get. I know facing something that you're scared of is really hard to do, but all of those things really help do that. Now, a time that I was scared was when I went ziplining with a couple of my teammates in Las Vegas for a softball tournament. And I got there and I saw what it was and I was terrified. We wouldn't be ziplining through like a canyon. We were ziplining over straight concrete. And the place that we were doing at was kind of sketchy, if I'm being honest. So I get up there and I'm getting strapped in and I am terrified. I don't trust the straps. I don't trust the people working there. I wanted nothing to do with it, but I knew that I was going to be missing out on a really good memory if I didn't let myself just have the courage and the trust to do it. So I did. I decided, you know what, I'm just going to trust it. I'm going to trust the straps. I'm going to trust that the people working actually know what they're doing, and I'm going to have the courage. I'm just going to do it. And I did, and I had an absolute blast. But if I didn't have that courage to stand up and do it, I would have missed out on a really good memory. But Esther had all of those things for something way larger than just going ziplining. So like I said, Esther was this Jewish girl living in Persia, and she lived with her cousin Mordecai. They lived in a land where there was a king who ruled them. And the king decided one day, you know what, I want a new queen. So he sent for all the beautiful young ladies in the kingdom to be brought to his castle. And when they got there, Esther was chosen, but the huge thing was that nobody knew that Esther was a Jew. She decided to hide it because being a Jew at the time was kind of a controversial thing. So she told nobody that she was a Jew. While she was being chosen as the queen, the king got a new right-hand man named Haman, and Haman just wasn't a good guy. You know, he was really egotistical, he wanted all the attention for himself, and it just made things kind of messy. But one day he decided that he wanted everyone who worked in the king's castle to bow down to him like they did to the king. This was an issue. Mordecai, who Esther's cousin, worked in the castle, and he wouldn't bow down to Haman because he only bowed down to God. Because of this, Haman decided that all of the Jews had to be killed, because if they weren't going to bow down to him, they just shouldn't even be there at all. When Mordecai told Esther this, she knew that she had to do something about it. She had to ask the king to not do this. But there's an issue. The queen cannot approach the king without being asked by the king. So if she was just going to go up to the king without him summoning her, she faced death. So for 3 days, she fasted and prayed, and she finally got the courage to go and talk to the king. When she went and talked to him, she went in terrified, but when the king saw her, he was so happy to see her, thankfully. And he asked Esther, "Whatever you wish, it is my command. What do you want? I will get it for you." And she asked, "My dear king, I would love to have a feast with you and Haman." So the next day, a feast was held. And Esther told the king, "Please do not kill my people. We need to save them. I am a Jew. Please don't let them be killed." And the king was outraged. Outraged. Who would ever try to kill his beloved wife and her people? And when she told him that it was Haman who made the decree, the king got very angry, and Haman was killed. So now the Jews were saved. Mordecai became the king's new right-hand man, and Esther was able to rule as a just and fair queen for the rest of her life. Now, I don't know about you, but that takes a lot of faith, trust, and courage. She had the faith to lean into God, and she had the courage to stand up, and it saved a lot of people because of it, and it was huge for all of the Jews. So Esther showed a lot of faith throughout her story, and before she went to the king, she just talked to God for 3 days. 3 whole days of her just praying and fasting and giving everything up to him, because she knew that she couldn't do it on her own. In Proverbs 3:5-6, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." Basically what that's saying is, if you give it up to him and just trust his plan, good things will happen. See, when I was a senior, I was planning on going to a school out in Massachusetts and playing softball. 2 weeks into my senior year, I found out that that was no longer going to be an option, and I was completely lost. I'm a senior softball player with no school to go to, and I was terrified because I didn't know what to do. I went on a couple visits to schools, and I hated every one of them. I had no idea what I was going to do. My club coach reached out to me and said, "Hey, go look at the school in South Dakota. I think you're going to like it." I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go at all. I threw a huge pity party for myself, and I was like, I'm not going at all. I don't want to go. She finally convinced me to go, and the night before I went on my visit, I prayed, and I asked God that if this was where I was supposed to be, to give me a sign. Give me something that I know this is what your plan is for me. And as soon as I got on campus, I felt it in my stomach that this is home. This is where I'm supposed to spend the next 4 years. And I just finished my freshman year. I absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to go back. But if I didn't trust in God's plan for me, and if I didn't have that faith of knowing that God wasn't going to lead me astray, that he was going to do something great for me, I wouldn't have had that experience. And Esther did the same thing. She trusted that God was gonna be there, and that he was gonna have that faith, or that she was gonna have that faith in him that would help her accomplish these great things. And in Matthew 6:26, it says, "Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or stow away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?" So, if God has these amazing plans for birds, he obviously has these amazing plans for us. Look at Esther. She went from being an orphan to being a queen, to being just a Jew, to being a Jew that could save all of her people. God had these amazing plans for her, and he has these amazing plans for us. We just have to have the faith to trust it. Now, courage is also a really big thing that is hard to have. In Esther 4, verse 16, she says, "Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish." Esther knew that by approaching the king, she faced death. The queen before her was killed for going against the king. So it wasn't just a rule, it was a rule that had been acted out upon. She knew that there was a very large chance that she wouldn't be coming back from approaching him, but she had the courage to know that this is what she was supposed to do. She was supposed to stand up for what she believed in, and that can be so hard. Standing up to a bully, that takes courage. Asking a girl out on a date, that takes courage. Doing something that you know is right, even though people might judge you for it or talk badly, that takes so much courage. A couple months ago, I had a friend who was in a bad situation, and it got to the point where I could either say nothing and see something really bad happen to him, possibly, or I could talk to somebody, get him the help that he needed, and lose a friend in the process. I was terrified. I was terrified of losing a friend, but I was also terrified of what would happen if I didn't say anything. So I decided to say something. I got him the help that he needed, and I was able to keep him as a friend. And I think that took a lot of courage. It takes courage to do something that you're scared of. It takes courage to stand up for something that you believe in. And in Joshua 1:9, it says, "Be strong and courageous, do not be discouraged or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you may go." And in Isaiah 41:13, it says, "For I am your Lord, your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, 'Do not fear, I will help you.'" God was with Esther as she went to talk to the king. He was with her as she faced this huge thing that could be life or death for not only her, but for a ton of people. And God's with us. Now, I doubt that we're ever going to be in a situation like Esther was, but there's so many things in our life that need courage and that take so much strength and faith, and God's going to be with us every single step of the way. So in the end, God loves us, and he loves us for exactly who we are, but he doesn't want us to stay that way. He's constantly transforming us and pushing us to become better. He takes us in our hard times and he transforms us. He always wants us to become stronger people. And in Jeremiah 29:11 it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." So God has a plan for us. He had a plan for Esther. Esther definitely didn't plan on becoming a queen and saving her people. It wasn't in her plan, but it was in God's. And that can be really, really hard to trust in. Every single one of us has plans for our lives. We have plans of what our future job looks like, what our future family looks like, where we want to live, our future houses. But our plans don't always line up with God's. God's plans might scare us. They might make us uncomfortable. They might put us into situations that intimidate us. But God's going to be with us every single step of the way. He's going to be there holding our hands, leading us, pushing us in the right way. And we have to have faith that he's going to do that. To go with that plan takes so much courage. But God's there, and he's not going to lead us astray. Now, taking a ziplining trip through Las Vegas, it took courage. But following God's plan, it takes so much courage and faith. But when we do it, he has such amazing things planned ahead of us for us, just like he did for Esther. So today, I hope you learned a lot about Esther and you realize how cool she is, because she's amazing. You know, she had so much faith and courage, and she was able to save all of the Jews in her land. So I think that we all should act more like her. And I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Have a great rest of your week.